Welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson. We know it's been a while. It's been about 2-3 weeks since about 3 weeks, I believe, since I've been on here, coming up with some information and whatnot. Just really hadn't been anything that really popped my interest and stuff like that. It's kind of the same old routine and whatnot. But this thing kind of, because we're getting closer and closer to the draft. One thing that I've always felt the need to do, that I've always liked to do, is that how in the NFL you'll find out that you'll see that same person, but it might be years later, in a different body, meaning that that guy has the same characteristics of this other guy that played ball 10, 15, 20, 30 years before him, and kind of the same characteristics, and I mean by behaviors on and off the field, or just even things on the field, or different moves that they're making and whatnot. It just kind of redoes it over and over again. And I've already done a few similarity things between with Mark Gastineau, Andrew Luck. I did it with Odell Beckham and John Jefferson. That was one of the last things that I did. A lot of people probably don't get that. If you're not a big-time football historian, that'll go kind of like over your head. But here we are. If you do notice that we have the draft coming up here, and April 18th, 1998, which is a few days from now, which I think that actually falls on a Wednesday or something like that, will mark the 20th anniversary of the 1998 draft. In the first two, and they had the quarterback, they had the top two quarterbacks coming out, Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. Now, I'm bringing this up to say we're 20 years to the date. And we're talking about now the very outspoken, controversial young quarterback coming out of UCLA, Josh Rosen, and some of the things that he has stated and said. And I got to thinking, I said, that's ironic. You know, you got that, and then of course between him and Darnold, who are two Pac-10 quarterbacks, right? Vying for the number 1 and 2, and you throw Josh Allen up in there. That's pretty much the only three quarterbacks they've always kind of talked about. They've had to, like I said before, bring in Baker Mayfield. His career works makes him. You have to put him in there. They brought out Josh Allen from out of nowhere, and like I said this before, they act like Lamar Jackson don't exist when all he did was just had over 100 and some odd touchdowns the last 3 years and passed the ball just as good as those guys passed. But that's another story. I've already talked about that. But it got me to doing the comparison of these two players. Ryan Leaf's last 2 years in the Pac-10 when he's at Washington State, which was the 96-97 season, he compiled a 15-7 record. He passed for 6,779 yards, and he had 55 touchdowns with 23 picks. He was the Pac-10 Offensive Player of the Year. He won the Pac-10 champs, All-American, first and second team, depending on which team you look at, but I think probably second team behind Manning, and other things. Football Writers Association had him in, All-American first team. Very cocky, very arrogant, 6'5", 235 pounds, had all the intangibles, everything you wanted in a quarterback. But his arrogance and his thing started from high school and ended up in pros, and we saw basically within 4 years he was pretty much done. I think he was just about out of football by the time he was 27, 28 years old, if that. Extremely cocky, arrogant, rubbed people the wrong way, had a meltdown with the team. And this is some of the pro stuff that happened. But he always had that particular type of mentality going back to high school, then into college, then into pro. Like I said, compiled a 15-7 record. He was 10-2 his junior year, and like I said, he won the Pac-10. And like I said, out of the game basically in 4 years by the time he was 27 years old. Now, which brings me to Josh Rosen, UCLA, 6'4", 218. Josh Rosen, his last 2 years, 16 and 17. You got somebody at 5,671 yards, 36 touchdowns and 15 picks, 10-15 record. This young man has his actual losing record since everybody likes to throw. And I don't like quarterback stats. I mean, not quarterback stats, quarterback records, as if the quarterback plays by himself. Or does the center have a record? Does the guard have a record? Does the cornerback has a record? I mean, it's stupid. I mean, I spoke about this earlier in some of my broadcasts from last year. It's ridiculous. Oh, this guy goes head-to-head with this guy. He's 10-15. First and foremost, right there, that shows me the last 2 years he's 10-15. That's a losing record. Second team All Pac-10. A very opinionated. Had a cap at at Donald Trump's golf one of his golf courses at F Trump on there. Uh, College and football don't mix. If you took the SATs need to be raised. If the SAT scores is raised, Alabama wouldn't have the team that they had, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This past week or last week or whenever it was, say if Tom Brady wins his sixth Super Bowl, he wants to win seven. All of this kind of stuff like that. He's rubbed a lot of his teammates the wrong way. He's rubbing people the wrong way now. I saw a little special that had him and Aaron Rodgers, and I think Aaron Rodgers actually probably fell because he was kind of a smart alecky kind of guy, I think, coming out of Cal, and that would cause him to fall. And had him and Rosen and stuff like that. So the guy has a talent. There's no question about that. Just like Ryan Leaf was a talent. Me and my friend was going back and forth back in 1998. And I said, Manning's going one, and he's a better quarterback because he has the pedigree. So he said, nah, Leaf's gonna go. I said, we all see how that happened. It'll be because the whole thing about Leaf, he had that special kind of he had this cockiness, and he had an edge to him and stuff like that. He just could not put it in together, and the lights got. I'm not gonna say the lights got too big. It's like he got overwhelmed, and when you don't have humility, these are the types of things that will eventually end up happening. And he could not, from the mistakes, because he was so cocky, and he thought that, okay, when you're in high school and you're 6'4" and you're 225 pounds and you can throw the ball 60, 70 yards standing still, and guys clinging off you while you throw the ball, you're like a legend. You're like on some Paul Bunyan stuff. Then you go to college and you're almost kind of doing the same thing in college. When you get to pro, dude, it's a different ball game. It's not about a physicality. About physicality is going to always be in the game. It's about the mental toughness. And my man just never had that. When he ended up, he won his first two games, and that before you know it, okay, I'm on my way. He's on his way. Then all of a sudden, the bottom fell out. And we all know the rest. You can just look at the stuff up on YouTube and stuff like that and watch his career and then watch his life just literally fall apart because he was an arrogant guy and he never humbled himself. And that's pretty much what happened. I'm seeing that same thing that's going on with Josh Rosen right about now. You know, they talk about how smart this guy is and stuff like that. And I mean, he probably is. But also, you know, you look at this time here, the way that they set these guys up to fail, in my opinion. You have these guys on the NFL Network having their own little thing where they're having these commercials and they're this and they're doing that and I'm this, I'm the next best thing, and all this, and they know some of them guys is doing that. It's not going to pan out in the NFL. It's not going to go right for them, and it looks silly to them. And them same guys is helping them. That's doing these things, or let's say NFL Network is big up. It's big up in these guys, are really putting these guys up out there like that. They're going to be the same guys that's going to be talking mess about them like this guy's is a complete bust. Because like I said, it comes back down to mental, because the physical attributes, they have that. It's not that they can't play. It's who gets the mental game right first. Who doesn't get taken in by the big lights. You follow? And me personally, if Josh Rosen doesn't do like a 180 or whatever, or hell, a 360 more or less, this kid's going to go down the same road as Ryan Leaf went down. Mark my words on that. If he doesn't get it together. Because it's obvious that the dude has no humility whatsoever. It's obvious with that. He has talent. I mean, I was really impressed by him his freshman year. And plus, not only that now, he's missed about 6 or 7 games. And he was out with a concussion and all that, and he didn't play in the Cactus Bowl or whatever, Strawberry Bowl, whatever bowls they got nowadays, because they've watered everything down to the point where they have a bowl for whatever. If you're 5-5, you can go to a bowl game, which is ridiculous, which is much like having 3 and 4 teams out of one district in high school going to the playoffs when it shouldn't be no more than basically 2. But don't get me on that rant. and you look at the two guys' career, and these are 2 Pac-10 quarterbacks. 2 Pac-10 quarterbacks. And Ryan Leaf actually, if you look at it the last 2 years compared to Josh Rosen's last 2 years, had a better career. He was a winner. Josh Rosen was a loser at UCLA. And he made second team all Pac-10, but I'm like, okay, and the guy has some skills. I'm giving him that. They say he's the most pro, but it's the mental aspect of the game with this guy. And I really just see this guy probably end up being the next Ryan Leaf if he doesn't watch it. And it's so funny with these guys. It's like, do guys actually try to learn from their mistakes, or not learn from mistakes, go back and look at these other people, because you can go back and go to film footage and go to YouTube and all that. Other guys couldn't do that, and see these guys literally dissolve or disintegrate in front of your eyes on the different things they would do. You know what I'm saying? On the things that would say, blown up with the press and all this kind of stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how this young man, how this carries out. I don't wish anything bad on the guy. I think, like I said, guy got skills. But like I said, if he doesn't get it together, he will be the next Ryan Leaf. And it's just ironic to me that both of these guys come out of the Pac-10. Both these guys were held for big arm strength, pro ready, one of the top 2 quarterbacks coming out of their class. And we're at 20 years later, just about in a couple of days, in the next 2 or 3 days, it'll be 20 years to the date. And then, of course, when the draft is coming up April 26th in Texas, in AT&T. Not AT&T Stadium, I think it's AT&T, yeah, Jerry's World or whatever. And this is what we have again. So don't be surprised. Remember, you heard it here first. Don't be surprised. I mean, I'm not wishing that on the kid, but don't be surprised, because this kid has a lot of growing up to do. And if he doesn't get it together, he's already rubbed his teammates the wrong way, and he hasn't even got it drafted yet, but he's going to get drafted. If he can win some games, get in there and get it done, hey, it'd be okay, but he still has a lot to learn. And Chris Carter kind of, showed him that thing, was called him out there the other day and whatnot. But he can possibly be the next Ryan Leaf if he doesn't get his act together. And Ryan Leaf actually, like I said, had a better last 2 years than what Josh Rosen did. All right, guys, check me out here, Everything Football 62. You can also check me out on Twitter, Everything 62, or Uncut Men 62. I'll probably be back in a minute here. I got a couple more shows I need to do for you. All right, thank you.